Hello friends, for over 2 years, the state of Manipur has been trapped in a cycle of fire, displacement and institutional paralysis. But beneath the surface of ethnic conflict that has torn the hills and the valley apart, a deeper crisis has been festering. The crisis of leadership. For decades, the people of Manipur have looked toward the high dome buildings of New Delhi for a solution. We have waited for the Prime Minister to speak. We have waited for the Home Minister to act. We have waited for a national solution to a deeply rooted indigenous problem. But the silence from the center has been deafening. And in that silence, a new voice is emerging, one that doesn't come from the corridors of the BJP or the office of the Congress. It is the voice of Democratic People's Front (DPF), led by a man whose name has been synonymous with the Manipuri resistance for half a century. RK Megan, also known as Yaima. The formation of the Democratic People Front isn't just the birth of another political party. It is a fundamental challenge to the way Manipur is governed. It is an indictment of the high command culture that has turned our state leaders into puppets. Today, we are going to dive into why regionalism is the only way forward for Manipur, why the national parties have failed us, and whether RK Megan can resurrect the ghost of the Manipur People's Party to shape our future. To understand where we are going, we must remember where we came from. There was a time when Manipur didn't beg for attention, it commanded it. In 1968, Manipur People's Party was formed. This wasn't a branch of Delhi-based organization or political party. It was born from the soil of Manipur, fueled by the desire for statehood and the protection of indigenous identity. In 1972, after Manipur finally achieved full statehood, the MPP led the first indigenous government under Muhammad Ali Muddin. This was a landmark moment. For the first time, the Chief Minister of Manipur didn't have to fly to Delhi to get approval for a cabinet reshuffle or local development project. MPP understood the delicate balance between hills and valley. They understood that the Meitei, the Naga, and the Kuki communities were stakeholders in a shared destiny, not just vote bank for a national census. MPP ideology was simple: Manipur first. They fought for the inclusion of Manipuri language in the S schedule of the constitution. They fought for the state's economic autonomy. But as the year rolled by, the National Party machine began to grind the MPP down. Through a combination of Ayaram-Gayaram floor-closing politics, the lure of central funding, and the internal division, the MPP was systematically dismantled. By the late 90s and early 2000s, the narrative changed. People were told, if you want money for roads, you must vote for the party in power at the center. This was the beginning of our political enslavement. We traded our voice for the packages. We traded our dignity for a double engine that we have seen recently often run into different directions, leaving the state derailed. The demise of the MPP left a vacuum, a void where a strong, independent Manipuri voice used to be. The national parties, whether it is Indian National Congress, which ruled Manipur for 15 years under Akram Ibobi Singh, or the Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP), which has held power since 2017, the fundamental problem remains the same. A national party is by definition an organization that must balance the interests of 1.4 billion people. In that grand calculation, a state with only 2 Lok Sabha seats is a rounding error. When a crisis hit Manipur, the national leadership asked one question: how will this affect our image in Uttar Pradesh? How will this affect our alliance in other states? They do not ask what is best for the mother who lost her son in Fayeng or the farmer who cannot tend his fields in Visnupur. Look at the current conflict. We have a double-engine government. In theory, this should mean seamless coordination. In reality, it has meant total paralysis. Why? Because the state leadership in Manipur has no power to act independently. Every move, from the deployment of the command regiment to the decision to hold peace talk, must be cleared by the Home Ministry. We have seen our Chief Minister and our MLAs camping in Delhi, waiting for an appointment with the Prime Minister that never comes. This is the ultimate humiliation. In a true democracy, the leader of a state should be the sovereign representative of his people. Instead, we have postmen leaders. They receive a memo from Delhi and they deliver it to the people. If Delhi say stay quiet, they stay quiet. If Delhi say accept this buffer zone, they accept it. Even if it curves our state into ethnic enclaves. The Congress is no better. For years, they allowed the Armed Forces Special Power AFSPA to remain, ignoring the hunger strike of Irom Sharmila because they didn't want to upset the national security apparatus. The national parties see Manipur as a frontier to be managed, not a society to be nurtured. They view our people as subjects to be pacified with schemes rather than citizens to be empowered with rights. In this atmosphere of betrayal and weakness, the emergence of RK Megan is like a lightning bolt. To the Indian state, he was once accused number one, the chairman of the UNLF, who spent years in prison for waging war against the state. But to a vast section of Manipuri society, he is Yaima, a man who has spent 50 years thinking about nothing but the survival of Manipur. Meghan is not a typical politician. He doesn't need a party ticket to be relevant. He is a scholar, a historian, and a descendant of the royal lineage that fought the British at Khongjom. When he was released from prison in 2019, many expected him to retire into the shadows. Instead, he watched. He watched as the state he loved began to tear itself apart in 2023. He watched as the youth took up arms because they felt the state had abandoned them. The formation of the Democratic People's Front (DPF) marked Meghan's transition from the armed struggle to the democratic struggle. This is a crucial distinction. By forming a political party, Meghan is saying that the battles for Manipur's soul must now be fought in the assembly, in the street, and in the courts, not just in the jungle. His presence changed the map. Unlike current leaders who tremble at the thought of losing their jet plus security or their bungalow if they upset Delhi, Meghan has already lost everything. He has spent decades in exile and years in jail. You cannot bribe a man who has already sacrificed his youth for an ideology. You cannot intimidate a man who has faced the full might of the Indian state and come out with his head held high. Democratic People Front is built on the premise that Manipur's issue can only be solved by people who live here, breathe this year, and understood the nuance of our history. It is about internal sovereignty. It is about the right of the Manipuri people to say we will handle our internal security. We will handle our land laws. We will handle our ethnic reconciliation without the interference of bureaucrats in Delhi who cannot even find Churanchandpur on a map. Some will ask, can a small regional party actually do anything? When Delhi just cut off its funding, this is the fear-mongering that national parties used to stay in power. But look at Tamil Nadu, look at West Bengal, look at Kerala. These are states where regional identity is strong, and because of that, Delhi respect them. When a leader from a regional party speaks, the center listens because they know that leader doesn't answer to a high command. They answer to the people. A regional party like the Democratic People Front serves three critical functions that BJP or Congress can never. Number one, the seal of identity. Our regional party's primary goal is the survival of the community. In Manipur, our identity is tied to our land. When center tries to implement law like the Forest Act or the NRC in a way that hurts the indigenous interests, a national party leader will remain silent to save his job. A regional leader will block the highway because his job depends on protecting that land. And number two, direct accountability. If you have a grievance against the BJP, who do you talk to? You can talk to the local MLA, but he will say, center hasn't decided yet. If you have a grievance against a regional party, the buck stops with them. They cannot hide behind a Delhi excuse. And number three, the power of no. This is the most important power in politics. For 2 years, Manipur has needed a leader who can look at central order and say, no, this is not in the interest of my people. Whether it is about the handling of Sioux group or the distribution of essential goods. Manipur needs a leader who isn't afraid of being dismissed by the governor. The importance of the Democratic People Front is that it aims to represent the real people, the volunteers in the peripheral areas, the Maira Pipes, the displaced students, and the farmers. These are the people who have been sidelined by the contractor rush of the current political system. We are at a turning point in history. The old way of doing politics, the way of bowing down to Delhi, the way of taking packages while our brother and sister bleed has failed. It didn't just fail, it collapsed in the most violent way possible. Democratic People Front and RK Megan are offering an alternative. It is an invitation to be brave. It is an invitation to stop being subjects and start being citizens. The Democratic People Front is not just a party, it is a movement to reclaim our dignity. It is a movement to ensure that the future of Manipur is written in Imphal, not in New Delhi. We must ask ourselves, Do we want leader who represent Delhi in Manipur, or do we want leader who represent Manipur in Delhi? The former had led us to the brink of civil war. The latter is our only hope for a lasting peace. RK Megan's journey from the revolutionary front to the democratic front is a testament to the urgency of the situation. If a man who spent his life outside the system is now trying to fix the system from within, we must pay attention. The ghost of the MPP is stirring. The spirit of 1972 is calling. It is time for Manipur to take its destiny back into its own hands. Because if we don't take the decision for ourselves, rest assured, someone in Delhi will take it for us. And they won't care if we survive this outcome. What do you think of RK Megan entry into mainstream politics? Can the Democratic People Front unite the fractured mandate of our state? Leave your thought in the comment below. For today, I want to say goodbye. If you like my content, please subscribe my channel and show your support by click on the like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.